All right, guys, let's review what is happening when we are trying to divide up a number, okay? So on this chart here, you see that I have the number 441, and I've represented that with 400s. Here's all four of them here. 4 10s and 1 1, and that all together makes 441, okay? I want to divide this number into 3 equal groups. So my groups are down here, and pardon my camera, I'm trying my best here. But we are going to take that and we're going to divide it equally into 3 groups. So what's really nice about place value and the fact that we can always regroup in tens is that instead of having to have 441 ones and spend forever trying to figure out how many go in each group, we can actually just be really smart about it, and we can divide up each place value individually to get to our answer faster and more efficiently. So I'm going to first divide up my hundreds because they're already in chunks, as you can see. They're in a big chunk here, and I think that would be easier. So 400s divided into 3 groups would get me 1 in each group. I could put 1 here, and 1 here. So I've got 100 in each group. So that's really great, but I still have this 100 left over here, and I can't break it or do anything with it the way that it is right now, and I can't just put it in one of these groups because then they wouldn't have an equal amount of things in each one if I'm trying to divide evenly to share. So what I can do, though, is I can take this 100 and I can regroup it into 10 10s that are more manageable. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to take this, and I'm going to replace it with these 10 10s right here. So instead of the 100, I'm going to have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, okay? So there's my 100 broken up. So that's going to regroup and go into the tens place. Now, I already have 4 10s there, and now I'm adding 10 more. So altogether, there are 14 10s. So that's going to be really easy to divide up. I got a nice amount there. 14 10s divided into 3 groups. How many could I get in each group? Well, if there's 14 of them, and there's 3 groups, I know that 3 groups of 3 is 9, so that's pretty close. 3 groups of 4 is 12, that's really close. 3 groups of 5 is 15, which is too many because I only have 14. So I'm going to do 3 groups of 4. I'm going to put 4 in each group because then I will have divided up 12 of these 10s. Let's see what that leaves me with. So I put 4 10s in each group. There's 12 of them there. I used to have 14. And so I have these 2 10s left that I can't divide up because, again, it wouldn't give each group an even amount. Only 2 groups would get a 10 and 1 would be without. So I'm going to take both of these 10s and regroup them into 1s. So right now, this is a 10 right here, but I'm going to get rid of it and get 10 1s. I'm going to do the same with this, which means altogether I will have 20 1s that I'm trading those in for. So here's all 20 of the 1s. Now, if you remember, I already had this one little 1 here already, remember, from my original number. So these are my 20 that I regrouped instead of the 2 10s. And then I have this 1 here. So 21 1s right there. So 21 1s divided equally into 3 groups. I know a math fact really close to that. I know 3 groups of 7 is exactly 21. So I can put 7, whoops, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let me just test it. 7 in that group, and 7 in that group, and 7 in this group. And I have divided everything up successfully with no remainders. So how many are in each group? 441 divided into 3 equal groups means that every group has 147. So that means that 441 divided by 3 will give me 147 in each group. That makes sense to check because 147 3 times better give me, here it is, 147 3 times. I should have 441 still, which is what I started with. Let me double check it and see. Yep, 441. Perfect. So this probably makes a lot of sense to you, but what gets a little bit more challenging is when we have to kind of do this in an abstract way. So right now, when I use those little pieces, it's so nice and easy, and I can really get it figured out, and I can kind of play around with everything. But we want to try to build ourselves into understanding how to do this without using the pieces. So how can we do that? So let's see. I'm going to take that same problem. And I'm sure that you have seen this. I'm sure you have seen division problems that look like this. You've seen somebody say, okay, take 441 and divide by 3. Ready, go. And it looks just like this. So I actually took this and I just made it really, really, really big. So I'm going to fill it in. So here's 441 divided by 3, okay? So I did, what I want you to understand is that when you divide, this little bar right here is there to help you separate place values. These are the hundreds, these are the tens, these are the ones. So what I did was I just drew a huge box around the entire division house, if you will, and these are my hundreds, these are my tens, and these are my ones. In the number, I remember I had 4 hundreds, they looked like that. I had 4 tens that looked like this, and I had that one little one that looked like this, if you can remember from our model we just did. So I'm going to show you how I can think about this on paper without the pieces. I'm dividing into 3 groups, so just to help myself, I'm going to draw 3 little groups over here just so that I can think. So I'm going to draw those a little bigger just in case, because my writing tends to be really big sometimes. There we go. Okay, there's my 3 groups. All right, I have 4 hundreds that look like that. This is my visual to help me think about it. 4 hundreds divided into 3 groups. Well, that's only going to get me 100 in each group. So if I have 100 in each group, and there were 400 to start with, that means that I have 100 that's still left hanging out down here. Now, before I think about that, I just want to draw your attention to this. Everything that happens on top of this bar, this is just a way to organize, that's all. This is your quotient. Your quotient is your answer. It's how many will be in each group. When I showed you before those 3 groups, this number up here is how many ends up in those groups, okay? So this is just helping me to organize it. So I had 400s, divided them into 3 groups. I got 1 in each group. I had 1 left. If you remember from the model, when I had 1 left, it wasn't working out really good. I had to split it, and I had to say, you know what, instead of thinking about it as 100, I'm going to break it into 10 tens. There they all are. But I'm also going to remember that I still have these 4 tens. So technically altogether, I have 14 tens, and I'm going to show that by putting a little 1 right here so that I see the number 14. I have 14 tens that now need to be divided into 3 groups. 14 divided by 3, well, I can get really close because 12 divided by 3 is 4. So I bet you I can get 4 tens in each group. So if I put 4 tens in each group, that means that I can't put 5 tens in each group because that would be 15. That's too many. So 4 tens in each group would leave me with 2 left. So now if I have 2 of those tens left, here they are. They're still hanging out. I can't break them up into these groups. They need to be regrouped into 21s. So there's my 21s. I'm going to also remember that I still have this 1 here. So altogether, I have 21 ones, and I'm going to remind myself just like that because here's the 20 down here, and there's my 1 more. 21 ones split into 3 groups would be 7 in each group because I know 7 times 3 is 21. So if I put 7 in each group, that's 21 altogether. There's 7 ones in each group. And so that must mean that 441 divided by 3 is 147. And so this is a way that we can organize this every time to help us when we're dividing. Take your chart, and I want you to try this one on your own. I want you to try to do 675 divided by 5. Press pause, go ahead. All right, let's see how we did. So I have 5 groups this time. All right, 6 of these divided into 5 groups. I could get 1 in each group. and I would still have one left, the sixth one, which can't be divided up. I'm going to regroup it, and I'm going to have 10 tens instead of that 100, which means that I will have 17 ones altogether. 17, or I'm sorry, I meant to say tens there, I'm sorry. 17 tens divided into 5 groups. Well, if it was 15 tens, that would be nice. I could get 3 in each group, so that's pretty close. Let me try that. 3 tens in each group. 3 tens in each group would give me 15, and it would leave me with 2 tens left that never got divided up. So those can't be divided into 5 groups. So I'm going to regroup those 2 tens into 21s, which means that I have 25 ones. 25 ones divided into 5 groups. I know that math fact really well. I will have 5 ones in every group, because 5 times 5 is 25. And I have nothing left over. So that makes sense that my answer, my quotient, is saying 135 in each group, because I have 135 in each group. All right, you may move to a center. I want you to please try and use this chart while you go through your center.